between the World Bank, Gavi Alliance and the Global Fund with the facilitation of the WHO. Now, one of the main reasons behind the formation of this partnership was that these agencies, particularly Gavi and Global Fund, realised that the early gains made under their specific project-focused mandates would be hard to continue without addressing broader health system obstacles. And as a result, the main focus or purpose of this partnership is to assist in developing and jointly funding health system strengthening components. They propose to do this by adopting the principles set out in the Paris Declaration, also being promoted through the International Health Partnership, and that is the harmonising of their activities amongst themselves, aligning these activities with the government's strategies and giving ownership of those strategies to the government. As most of us would be aware, the World Bank in particular has quite a poor track record when it comes to actually implementing these ownership partnership principles. And on the other hand, actually has quite a reputation for strong-arming and controlling the policy process. Now, this has been no secret to the World Bank. They have actually been quite receptive of these criticisms over the past couple of decades. And have really found from their own research made effectiveness that this approach using this coercive conditionality style of governance has really been a failure in regards to achieving its desired outcomes. This has led the bank to come out and quite openly and publicly promote and adopt this new paradigm of ownership and partnership, transparent accountability, etc., as set out in the Paris Declaration. And I think for those of us that are familiar with World Bank literature, documentation, I think that phrase at the top there will be quite familiar to you, and is just a real indication of the rhetoric adopted by the bank in regards to implementing and promoting this paradigm. So just to sort of boil it down and make it a little bit clearer for you, on the one hand here, we have this really good, fantastic new development paradigm of ownership and partnership and accountability. And on the other hand, we have this coercive, strong-arming, policy-based lending conditionality, which, like I said, has proven really to be fairly considerably. Unfortunately, there's a lot of research and evidence out there that actually demonstrates that the World Bank are still, in many cases, continuing to use this approach of a coercive conditionality style of governance, as is demonstrated here with an increase in conditions following this rhetorical adoption. Here, another study as well carried out by ActionAid, where they actually went to interview recipient government stakeholders, representatives, in regards to their opinion on World Bank actually implementing the ownership concept. As we can see, wasn't really the case. That leads me really to sort of suggest that banks are supposed to some degree, I think they're guilty of hypocrisy, where they are here on the one hand saying one thing, and that is that they're adopting and implementing these Paris principles, but as evidence demonstrates, on the other hand, they're actually doing something quite different. So once this was made clear to me, it really started to boggle me as to why are they knowingly using an inferior bad development paradigm that's proven to have failed in many cases. In my quest for this answer, I think it was the godfathers of public choice that I've named them, that gave me at least put forward a theory that gives, I think, a bit of an accurate description of some of this behaviour. And that is that it can be put down to, in some cases, the self-interested behaviour of bank bureaucrats. And that is the pursuit of utility maximisation, to use a technical term, but in other words, the pursuit of power, prestige, status, in some cases salary, and also importance to feel important within the organisation and amongst their peers. Now, the way they do this, and again, there's quite a lot of evidence out there, is that they gain this utility maximisation of importance and power and so forth by controlling development policy processes rather than giving the control over to recipient stakeholders as they should be and as they say they do. Now, I believe in order for this to happen, there must at least be a culture embedded within the bank, or at the very least an organisational structure that facilitates this behaviour in order for it to be allowed to actually happen in the bank. Now, the biggest problem with this, as is in many cases of bureaucratic self-interest, it does sometimes occur at the expense of the public good. And I would argue in this case, in the bank's case specifically, it's may in some instances occur at the expense of positive development progression. So what does this have to do with the health systems funding platform? Well, I, as do many others, see the World Bank as playing quite a dominant and influential role within this partnership. And therefore, if the danger is, given this role, if this behaviour is occurring in the bank, going unchecked, I suppose, the danger is that it has the potential to be carried over into the platform's activities also. So that therefore has some serious implications for health system strengthening and subsequently obviously for universal health coverage. So I think what should come from this discussion, or what I'd like to come from this discussion, is first and foremost I think it's important that the problem be identified and acknowledged both from the bank and other relevant stakeholders to begin with, and then obviously I hope that that would provoke discussion and debate regarding potential solutions to such an issue.